Bobby Dirkens here. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I asked all of y'all to give me some college football teams. It's not Clemson, and if they're relevant, I'll give them a little preview. So we talked about Oklahoma, talked about the Georgia Bulldogs, talked about Urban Meyer's newest gig. Well, I say that, he's been there for a little bit, but I always like saying that, it's kind of fun. Ohio State, and then talked about Tennessee. Did catch some crap for that because people were like, they're not relevant. They are historic, they've been through a lot, and it was worth talking about. Now, it's a neighbor. We know. If you're a Tiger fan, we couldn't beat these guys since the time they joined the conference back in the late 80s. Now, we beat them before then, but the late 80s, once they joined the conference, we didn't beat them till 2003. Yes, the Florida State Seminoles. Now, when you think of Florida State, you think of Bobby Bowden from 1976, about 2009, back when he was retired. He won 2 national championships in 93 and 99. He coached Heisman Trophy winners Charlie Ward and Chris Winkie. Had just a crazy amount of talent there. I'm telling you right now, last time I saw that much talent was when the International Cloggers of America come through the little town here I live in. I'm telling you, it was one, or they just clogged it up. They'll scuff up a floor if you don't watch out. Somebody should tell me not to shine that floor. We did have 4 fall. One did pass away. God bless her. But I'm telling you, a lot of talent from the International Cloggers Association and from the Florida State Seminoles. I mean, you had Warwick Dunn, Peter Warwicks, all the Warwicks. I mean, it was just crazy. Well, he leaves, and they put him in a retirement home, and at the end of the day, they turn around, they get Jimbo Fisher. It was like 2010. He coached all the way up to 17, won national championship in 2013 with Jameis Winston. Now, last year got really, really crazy, really, really fast. I felt like that Florida State was overrated preseason. Look, I did not say something bad about you I wouldn't say about Clemson. Clemson's winning, especially before Dabo. They were going to a season ranked number 10 and could barely finish in the top 25 because they underperformed. I've talked about it. If I'll zing my team, I'll zing you too. And that, just don't be too dadgum sensitive about it. So, I knew that they were in trouble when I saw Francois go down and the rest of the team just quit. I know a quarterback's really, really important position. You don't have to waste your time on my message board. I understand how important it is to have a good quarterback. Right now, Clemson has their own problem between Lawrence and Kelly Bryant. And at the end of the day, you just bring it down to the truth. It really decides how successful a team is. But at the end of the day, there does have to be some personal pride among a team who looks at each other and says, are we really going to lay down and finish 7-6 overall and 3-5 in our conference? In the ACC, though my team's in the ACC, I openly admit it's not that tough of a conference. You have 5-star and 4-star talent that's there. It's been there for a while. Some of it probably was redshirted out of that national championship team. It probably smelled the ring, kissed the ring. But they ended up doing so poorly. Then I saw Jimbo Fisher get into an argument with a fan on the sidelines. I can only imagine the stuff that's being said to him because everybody thought that they were going to be a national championship contender, and then they were doing poorly. When I saw that altercation, I went, this is not looking good. And then when I heard that he left and went to A&M, it settled itself. So who's the A&M? Of course, us Tigers get to play them, and I think the second week of our season down at Texas A&M. Can't get away from him, and he can't get away from us. And then they hire Willie Taggert. Willie Taggert's been at South Florida, had some success, got them their first double-digit win, and then he went on up to Oregon, stayed 1 season, left, and come back to Florida. They're paying him a cool $5 million a year. They really believe in Willie. And from what I hear, Willie seems to be a pretty solid fella. So, congrats to Willie and the $5 million a year. What does he return to? Well, a little bit of a quarterback situation. It comes down to whether Francois is ready or not. He threw for over 3,000 yards in his 2016 season, 20 touchdowns, and he looked solid. He did have moments that you question, how much is he going to have to grow to get certain areas? But at the end of the day, to throw for over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, that's a big deal. He gets hurt against Bama, and then James Blackman comes in. At the end of the day, James Blackman, if you're playing quarterback at Florida State, you have talent. At the end of the day, though, He is 6'5", 6'6", and 170 pounds. Remember the hit from Trey Lamar? From what I can remember, it was Trey Lamar. Nailed him in the valley. It looked like a linebacker nailing me, and I'm not a big dude. I'll knock your teeth down your throat and give your butthole a full set of teeth. But at the end of the day, it is what it is out on the football field. He did throw for over 2,000 yards and 19 touchdowns. Will Francois be ready? Will he be conditioned mentally and emotionally and physically? Is James Blackman the man you want to run with? If Francois is ready, they'll run with Francois. If not, Blackman has a full, terrifying, horrible, emotionally scarring season under his belt. He'll be more than happy to come in there and do it all over again. At running back, you're not too bad off. You got Cam Akers, one of the top running backs coming out of high school, one of the top recruits coming out of high school. Last year, his freshman campaign was amazing, rushing for over 1,000 yards. And then you got Jacques, if I'm saying that right, Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Patrick. He's big, athletic, different running back than Cam Akers, but kid can play. You lost, I believe his name's Alden Tate. Went on. He's gone, big, fast. I mean, he was 6'5", but he moved just like a gazelle. You lost him. He's gone in the NFL. You've got some wide receivers. I'm just kind of looking over their names right now, not right off the top of my head. Now, if you were somebody who was a Florida State fan, you go, I know that. I think it's Naquan Murray and Keith Gavin. You know, those guys are coming back, but not any names that really stands out like Tate. You understand what I'm saying? When you think about Clemson, everybody knows T. Higgins. You know Hunter Renfrow. A lot of people not only know Renfrow, they know, Travis Etienne. They know those names. They know them, even though it was just their freshman campaign. They know these names. I'm not hearing a lot of names that I know. Well, granted, I don't know a ton about Florida State, just enough to know that they're the bad guys and we have to beat them. Going to the offensive line, you did lose some people, but you do return a gentleman named Alec Eberle. He has 32 starts. He's a center, and he's fantastic. That does give you some leadership along the lines. On the defense, after reading some reports and checking out this, that, and the other, it looks like you've lost 8 defensive players. But you do have Levante Taylor, DeMarcus Christmas, Brian Burns, and a youngin, I believe his name's Stanford Samuels. He's going to be coming in and playing for you. And, of course, you got one of the Aguayo, if I'm saying that right. I lose you at LMNOP. Ricky Aguayo coming in. He's grown down there at the Aguayo farm. Y'all just keep getting Aguayos left and right. Good for you. Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to look at your schedule and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. This is a year that you don't want to call it a throwaway year, but it's just like Jeremy Pruitt has leeways to play around with his quarterback situation up at Tennessee, because as it is, he's got a lot to rebuild. So do you. But you do have a lot of talented players there. Now, I know I probably missed some players, and you can tell me who I missed. Just always remember, keep your comments clean, because I had to delete about 5 comments today because somebody was like a sailor hitting on another sailor. Starting off, not good for y'all. Virginia Tech Hokies. Let me tell you this. The only good thing is it's at Doak Campbell Stadium. And maybe old Willie can get you fired up, and maybe y'all can have Francois and everything starts to gel in, and you get the chatter and the energy going in Doak Campbell. But as far as a team, Virginia Tech is actually pretty doggone good. I think that Justin Fuentes is fantastic. I think their quarterback situation solid. I think a lot of really good things are going on with them. And I'm going to have to say I think you're going to lose that ball game in Doak Campbell. I really do. If your quarterback situation was nailed down right now, and maybe there was a little more strength on the team, I felt a little better about it. I could be totally wrong, and that's fine. I ain't going to die and end up in the ground if I'm wrong about this. But if you had a few more stronger points, I would definitely pull you as a favorite. Even though it's in your stadium, you definitely stand a fighting chance. But I'm just saying, looking at it on paper, looks like Virginia Tech's going to win that ball game. Then you turn around the very next week and that game's going to be on a Monday night, September the 3rd. Then you're going to play Samford. Samford's coming into town on September the 8th. You're going to beat the crap out of them. Then you're going at Syracuse. And let me go ahead and tell you this. Their quarterback's coming back. Y'all ever look at Bobby Dirkens Jr. Down there? He's upset. He's down there wrestling a wild dog. That's actually the wild dog screaming. You're going to play at Syracuse. Here's the deal with Syracuse. Syracuse can beat you. Just ask us. That was one of the worst things ever. Here's the reason why. When you hear Syracuse, you think Donovan McNabb 20 years ago. Their team, they're fighting, they're trying to get better. You better keep that one on your radar. But believe it or not, I actually am going to go with you. I think Syracuse will lose that ball game. Then you have Northern Illinois coming in to Doak Campbell Stadium. I think you're going to beat them. Then you're going at Louisville Cardinals. No more Lamar Jackson and the O button to hit the spin and throw and everything. God, that's a toss-up. That is a toss-up. I am going to go with Florida State's going to win that ball game. It is what it is. Then the very next week, you go to Miami. Now, Miami, I'm not sold on that they're back and all this bunch of stuff because we heard about that dang chain last year, and this is just the truth. They went down there, everybody's jerking around and going, and I knew what was going to happen. Clemson doesn't have to have a chain to motivate them. They have Dabo Swinney. They have a national championship. They have consecutive 10-win seasons. They have multiple huge name teams they've beat and dominated. They don't need a piece of tacky chain to get jacked up about. They enjoy just winning. Miami, I don't buy that they're back like they used to be. But I do believe that Miami right now has a slight edge over you. It's just because you're having to rebuild stuff. It's because of quarterback situation. Now, I will tell you this. You nail down a quarterback situation, you have some players come alive, you can win that ball game. But it's at Hard Rock Stadium, and I say you win the ball. I say they win the ball game. Miami will win that game. Guy screaming down there. His mama's with him. Don't worry. Then you have October the 13th off. Then you go and play Wake Forest in Tallahassee. You're going to win that game. And then the very next week on October the 27th, there's a team very dear to my heart. In fact, I'm painted in them. The Clemson Tigers. You're not going to win that ball game. You're going to lose that ball game. Now, the only thing that would change it is if just a few of our players, if a lot of injuries hits us or something like that. But Clemson's going to beat Florida State. Next week, another game you better keep your eye on. At NC State, you've got to play against Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley's a good quarterback. Dave Doran. Now, I will tell you this: if there's a laptop on your sideline, he's going to want to find out what that is about. And yeah, it's social media. It's near there. They moved it. He's going to want to know. Now, his team can steal all the towels in the world from you. That's no big deal. Theft's no big deal there. But that he wants to investigate. Don't have a cell phone out either. You're going to go up to NC State. Unfortunately, I think old Dave is going to beat you. I think NC State will. But that's a toss-up game, but I think NC State will beat you. Very next week, you're at Notre Dame. Who knows about the Irish? I mean, really, Lord help them. If Wimbush plays good and he's playing solid, they don't have that Josh Adams anymore. He left. You might be able to beat them, but I'm going with Notre Dame is going to beat Florida State because definitely it's at South Bend. If it was in Doak Campbell, I might lean towards you, but I believe that Notre Dame's going to win that ball game. Next week you're playing Doak Campbell. You have Boston College. You'll beat Boston College. And then you'll finish off your season with the Florida Gators. Now, I remember back in the 90s when Florida and Florida State would get together, and I remember that game where Florida State was down 31-3 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, rumbled all the way back, tied the ball game, and it ended in the ties for the whole overtime thing. Danny Cannell was playing quarterback. It's crazy. Final score was something like 31-31. It was crazy. Gone are those days. Dan Mullen, I have respect for him, but between you and I, well, it's really me and a ton of you out there. I just really don't know what to think about Florida. I mean, they're kind of like y'all. You can just go out and you can say, hey, we're Florida State. The recruits come in. Problem is development. And they haven't had an offense, it seems like, in 4 or 5 years. Used to, that's all they were really known for. I mean, yeah, they had a good defense, but I'm saying offense. You thought Florida, you thought fast, you thought speed. Not anymore. You think, who's their quarterback? So, I'm going to say that game's at Doak Campbell Stadium. I say you get fired up, and I say Florida State beats Florida. I don't believe you'll make it to the ACC Championship. I'll go ahead and count up how many losses I think you'll have. That was Virginia Tech. I said you were going to lose to Syracuse. You'd lose to Miami. You'd lose to Clemson. You'd lose to NC State. And you would lose to Notre Dame. I think you stand a great chance at 6 losses. I know I'm going to get cussed out and told I'm crazy. And, hey, I could be wrong. I've already teed my toss-up games once again. Toss-up games is definitely Syracuse. Louisville. If I didn't say, I can't remember what I said about Syracuse. But Louisville, that's a toss-up game. NC State, I'll give you a toss-up on that one. But those are 2 games. But I will tell you straight up, I just don't see you beating some of these other teams. The hardest team you'll play all year is the Tigers. And the Tigers, if they're on anybody's schedule, no matter where they're at, no matter what conference they're at, anybody would be circling that game, just even based off of the defensive line itself. It's nuts. Upsets happen. I just don't think this time. But overall, Florida State, here's the deal with you. You are a team who can rebound. You're a team who can come back. I don't have to give you some type of spiel, and I'm not trying to. I'm just saying you're a team that can rebound. Question is, how quick, how fast? Because there's other teams around you just trying to get things fixed. Recruiting can get better. It gets tougher. Just ask Tennessee. They've been backtracking for a very long time. It is what it is. Well, this is Bobby Dirkens saying, hey, if I pissed you off tonight, grow tougher skin. Bobby Dirkens.